I thought our guys did a fantastic job of playing the way that they need to play to be successful over a long period of time. And it wasn't a complete 40-minute game, but they were striving for it. And I think the way we got off to the start, 4 assists on 4 baskets, one of our goals tonight was to cut down on our turnovers, but more importantly, get more assists, get more baskets. And we set a goal of anywhere from 17 or above, and we hit it. And it's amazing what happens when we pass the ball like that and the turnovers do cut down. A couple of the turnovers were guys trying to make plays, like the spot where Will threw it to Yogi and Yogi stepped out of bounds. I have no problem with those. Some of the ones where we're not as aware and alert, those are the ones we've got to correct. But I think, again, we try to get anybody on your team, whether they're starting or coming off the bench, to have a play-on-demand mentality. And I think these guys, they did that. They responded from their disappointment the other night, and we treated it as just a short-term setback, and no one harbored a lot of woulda, coulda, shoulda over the last few days, and it was all focused on getting better. And I think it showed tonight. We had a bunch of deflections. We were guarding a good team. We made very good adjustments during the game. Kenny Johnson did a fantastic job of preparing for the game. Steve made some great suggestion of when to switch defenses in the first half, and Tim made some great adjustments at halftime that we went to, and I thought that was really good for us. So the coaching was fantastic from the entire staff of the way that they were locked into the adjustments that you need to make, and our players did an excellent job. So I don't think we can take for granted we got an 18-year-old out there getting double-doubles, and I think that's a pretty special thing. And at one point he got called for a foul because he grabbed somebody's wrist, and as I mentioned to the referee, if he got called, if there was a call made every time he got grabbed going for a ball at the glass, he might be averaging about 8 more free throw attempts and about 5 more rebounds. I mean, he's just out there playing hard. I mean, he is a big focus of the other team's report, and yet he gets out there and he's just playing with a relentless fervor, which is fantastic. It was great to see Evan get results offensively, and it all came because of the way he locked in defensively. Same with Stan Robinson, and same with Luke Fisher. I mean, everybody's trying to get better, and our guys are learning what they're capable of. We had guys that were in. We had 8 guys in this morning at 10. We had our walkthrough at 2:30, and we play the game tonight. And some of those guys that were in at 10, 2:30, and playing the game tonight, guys like Luke and Hunter and Stan and Austin, did a fantastic job. So they're learning more and more what they're capable of, and we just want to build on it. We're playing against a team that's just won 2 in a row now in Oakland. Beat Ohio U tonight. Have the leading 3-point shooter of makes and attempts coming in Travis Bader. Well-coached team, and we turn right back around and get ready for that.
How much, I guess, do you see some of those bench guys that you mentioned just figuring out how to kind of play from that role where they're not starting but they're coming in and impacting the game?
Well, I think, again, Edmund, I think it's the same thing for a starter. I mean, you have to go in. I mean, we really have to, and I have to make decisions, I think, very clearly going into the game. Okay, who gives us the best chance for that defensive energy, for being on the glass, for moving the ball, and that means the starting lineup could change from time to time. But bottom line is, when guys are ready and they're locked into impacting the game the way that it needs to be impacted, not coming in and think, okay, I have to shoot, I have to score, I have to make this drive, I have to get fouled. And it's more about, okay, I've got to get a stop defensively, I've got to communicate, I've got to call out the switch, I've got to rotate, I've got to block out, I've got to get back, I've got to run. When you're focused on those things, it's amazing how much easier the game becomes. And what we're imploring constantly is to have that concentration and focus when you're sitting out, so that when you do go in, you're absolutely prepared for what's in front of you.
You hear coaches talk about the importance of establishing an identity. Do you feel like your team's developing an identity, and if so, how would you characterize it?
Development is a good term, but I think we're learning that our development's got a long way to go. I think we saw some of that the other night. I think in the Syracuse game, when we were focused on the way we needed to attack the zone, we were focused on getting it inside. We had their forwards in foul trouble in the first half. we get it to 33, and all of a sudden we shoot too many jump shots and we turn the ball over. And then they just, good teams snowball that. And so our identity's got to become, take care of the ball, take what the defense has given us, make sure our transition defense is really good, make sure our defensive energy and rebounding energy are really high. And that's got to be a constant in the identity. So those things are coming, but I think this team can be a very good rebounding team, can be a team that gets to the foul line. I think we saw what happened tonight is can we keep building on this where when we move the ball and we get rhythm threes, we're pretty good with it. We're knocking them down. When we feel like we have to take one or, we take one after we've hesitated or we've taken one too quick, well, we're not good enough to do that right now. So our identity's ever forming, but it'll come.
Dustin?
Was this the first time you've set an assist or a statistical for assists this year, I guess, and what made you decide?
No, that was just a whim. I don't really get much into the assists. I really don't, because we're a driving team. We're trying to get to the foul line. I mean, look at the game tonight. It's hard to referee right now. It really is. I mean, there were so many different calls that I think if you spend too much time thinking it's going to be pretty, okay, it's going to get ugly. All right, and when you're just playing and okay, we've got to get to the rim, we've got to post it up, we've got to get ball reversal. But the biggest thing there was just really continuing to make the next pass. And even with turning the ball over, it's not coming in every day. I mean, the negative impact is, hey, don't turn it over, okay? No, the positive impact is what did you see? Make this pass, make it simpler, create an angle to feed the post. Those are the kind of things you want to focus on. Well, when you're focusing on just continuing to make the next pass and you get your game in rhythm, then those good things happen. But it's the first time. I've never really set assist goals in the past. We've always had 20 that was a game goal. Sometimes it was emphasized, sometimes it wasn't. But when you're scoring a lot of points and you've got guys that really understand the game, like the last couple of years that knew how to move the ball, sometimes it just takes care of itself. But a year ago right now, we were averaging 17 assists, 11 turnovers. And so those are the numbers that we pay attention to where we were a year ago on the production part of it. And I thought that was a real positive step.
Sean?
Just seeing those numbers today, does it kind of, when you see the ball moving, particularly like it did in the first half for those guys, does it kind of make you think back to that team, just how good this group could be if it moves the ball that way in the future?
Well, to be honest with you, no, because because every team is different. I think that's a tough question. Yeah. But if I thought about that, I might have been looking in the corner for Victor or Cody or Jordan to pop in there. But I think you're constantly trying to get your identity. I think when the ball moves like it does, it's just really good looking basketball. In the sense of the shot may not go, but you're getting great movement, and all of a sudden it's contagious. And it's a fine line in these days, especially with the team that we have, because we want to get it in the post, we want to drive. You've got to get to the foul line. I mean, one of the leaders in the country in free throw shooting, and so we want to make sure that we're not giving that up. But when that ball's swinging like that, yeah, that's a very good thing. That's when it looks like they're getting, it's coming to them.
Terry?
Coach, how important was it to get some different guys hitting perimeter shots tonight?
Well, we've been spending a lot of time on it. I just keep, I'm very positive with that, with this team, as long as we're taking good shots. Because, Iowa was what, 11th in the league last year?
League, yeah.
Right, what are they now, first or second?
They're second.
Second in the league. Same guys, right? A year ago, I know I keep saying this, but Victor Oladipo a year ago shooting 26, 27, 28% from three, ended the year at 44. It's you got to work at it. You got to work at it. That's why we try to get as much extra shooting as we can. We try to shoot when we're fresh. We try to shoot in the middle. We try to shoot when we're tired. We try to do all those different things. Same thing with the free throws. And it's fun to watch guys' confidence go up. But again, it's like anything else. When they come in with an attitude of impacting the game in an area defensively or with the glass or with their hustle, it's amazing what happens offensively.
Ken?
It seemed that you had a lot of pass fakes into shots to create more room, get that zone moving without giving up the ball. Was that something that was an emphasis for you?
They weren't in the zone very long. No, because not really. Ball movement. We want a shot fake on a long closeout, we want to rip it on a short closeout. I mean, and it doesn't matter if it's man or zone. Just attacking zones, we mix up a lot of movement actions. We're trying to score early. We're trying to make it hard for the defense to get set and adjusted on the break. We're trying to screen the guards. There's always attack points in different parts of the zone, you know, where you're attacking, they're trying to attack their personnel. When we were doing that the other night at Syracuse, we were doing an excellent job of that. When we stopped attacking the personnel the way that we wanted to, it's not just about attacking a zone or it's a one guard front, it's a two guard front. It's really, you still got to create matchups in it if you're going to be successful, especially when you're not killing it from three. And so to us, there's a couple constants that we want to have. We want to play out of the corners more. We want to screen the guards. We want to be able to put great pressure on their wings with driving it and with pulling them out. And we want to attack the middle either off the top, from the corner and getting it kicked, or with our post-ups as much as possible. And if a shot fake, if a pass fake, if a dribble handoff, if something that leads to it in the flow of the game, great. But those are the areas that we want to get to.
Anything else for Coach?
You said it's hard to officiate now. Why do
Sure.
why do you think it's hard?
Because the rules are just different. I mean,
But if the rules are the rules, how is it harder now than?
because the season's very young. The season's still very young. I mean, it's a month old tomorrow. And so I have great respect for, I love the changes. We just got to keep adjusting. And our guys did that. You know, we had a couple, I didn't totally agree that they were fouls in the pick and roll, but they were. So we make the adjustment. And all of a sudden we had 3 or 4 really good pick and roll coverages. And our guys figure out they want to be on the court. They're not trying to foul. And so when they make those adjustments, and all of a sudden, the referee even commented on that. See, those last 4 have been really good. And then we made some defensive switches. You've got to have a lot of different things in the bag right now, I think, defensively for these games and offensively. And you've got to see how the game is being called. And I do think it's hard because I think they have to watch so close, you know, any contact right now to get those calls right. And it's a learning process for them. It's a learning process for the coaches. It's a learning process for the players. It really is. That's why I say it's hard.
Okay, Jeremy, and then last question for Dustin.
When you get production like you did from Evan and Stan tonight, how much can that benefit Yogi, make him more effective?
Oh, very much so. Very much so. Because one of our things defensively, we with a lot of, I mean, again, this team, the Beach kid is a kid. We put a lot of emphasis on him because, I mean, the bigger the game, the better he plays. And Moore just keeps getting better and better. He had a career night tonight, but we made some adjustments on him. We let him get his confidence when we came off the corners a little bit after, you know, when he'd give the ball up, and he showed a much better catch and shoot game than what he had showed in the previous games. But again, the whole game plan was, okay, Yogi's on him, and then all of a sudden Evan's on him, and all of a sudden when the ball movement is what it is offensively, and you've got guys communicating better defensively. We go to a switch of defenses. Evan's got a foul situation. I've got Will and Jeremy. We've got Will and Jeremy on the bench with 2 fouls. Evan's got 2 fouls, but I don't want to take him out of the game. And we make an adjustment defensively, and his communication was fantastic. You know, now when those things are happening, when Stan's aggressive like he was, when guys are really bringing their strengths to the table, and they're influencing each other's strengths because of it, that's a good thing. So that can only help us.
Dustin.
I was also just going to ask about Evan as well. I mean, did you see kind of a night like this coming for him, basically? What can it
Well, I think we've seen the offense. Yeah, I mean, he's spent a lot of time with Tim Buckley right now. Tim is a phenomenal at. He did it with Victor. You know, Seth would be with Victor so much when we couldn't be. You know, in the sense of the practice day, the 20 hours and all that kind of stuff. But Tim, whether it was Jerome McNeil back at Marquette, who became the all-time leading scorer there, whether it's Evan, Tim does a phenomenal job of getting in the. He's got a lot of yin and yang, you know, with me, which is really, really good, you know, especially in the practice quarter in the film room. You know, when I'm a little bit more demonstrative and it's a little bit more passion-filled, then he can run the teaching role. When I'm a little bit more into, all right, making the points and it's more in a teaching mode, then Steve or Kenny or Tim can then lay down the hammer a little more. That's what you want out of a staff. In answer to your question, Evan is, when we recruited Evan, and I said this to him on the bench tonight, when we recruited him, and I think hopefully he's figuring this out. we saw a lot left in the tank that he could get better at. We didn't just see a guy that had played 4 years of college basketball that was coming in for his 5th year. We didn't just see that. I saw a guy that we wouldn't have done it. We saw a guy that could make improvements. We saw a guy that could have a bigger role. We saw a guy that could really, really be a stellar defender. And I think when he's focused on what he is defensively, all of a sudden you get nights like that offensively. And hopefully he can continue.
Okay, thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you.
Thanks a lot.